Dissolving yourself is part of the process of being who you need to be to get to where you need to be. And what I mean by dissolving is by you dissolving the different expectations that you've kind of internalized from other people. You know, all the expectations people place upon you. When you internalize them and accept them, you end up forming a mask, which is a persona. And hence why when you come around different friend groups, if you have a lot of friends anyway, and when you come around these different groups, these separate groups, you become a whole new person with these different people. And something like this can be very draining on you, or the energy you're trying to centralize, because where your attention goes to is where your energy is going into. And if you're trying to become someone who's never been before, to get to somewhere where you've never been before, you need to be able to centralize as much energy as you can into that alter ego, essentially, until it can become solidified in the sense of it being reflected outwardly in your physical world. So you don't want to be sitting in multiple chairs at once. You only want to sit in one chair. You only want to sit in one seat. You only want to serve one version of yourself. I realized that I was going through this process when I was being led to certain places where it was necessary for me to go to be able to dissolve particular expectations in other people's heads and in mine as well. Because when you like come around certain people, right, and you've realized that, you realize that whatever you're holding internally is beginning to reflect outwardly, and that in itself is helping you to strengthen that frequency. So that's why it's good to, even though it may seem illogical, if you're being led to places where where you feel some sort of fear that if you do go to this place that you'll revert back to your old ways, it's better to go there and face your fears, conquer that fear, and transmute that fear into faith in yourself, faith in the new frequency that you're building. It's all about cultivating and strengthening the new frequency, cultivating and strengthening the new version of yourself. And essentially putting all your eggs in one basket, in a sense, where you go all in. You sit in only one chair. You don't sit in two different seats at once. This is one thing that I came to terms with when I was a Christian, that you're either of the world or either of God, of God's family. You're either committing to a life of sin or committing to a life of living in Christ. That whole lukewarm thing is not real. You're either in or you're either out. There's no half, there's no in between. And if you do try to put yourself in between, all you do is confuse yourself. It's like splitting itself up in two, essentially. And you don't even know who you are at the end of the day. We're all on this planet confined by the law of polarity. And the only way to shift is to polarize yourself. The only way to escape it, is to polarize yourself. Wherever there's fear, that's where you need to go to. Wherever there's discomfort, that's where you also need to go to. For a long time as well, myself, it became a discomfort to go to religious institutions like church. Just because I ended up going from an extreme Christian, like a very devoted Christian, to the other end, which was very much the other end. And to get out of that extreme end where it became like, it got to a point where it was like I was disrespecting disrespectful. I had to put myself in their midst and realize realize in the first place that I was uncomfortable, realize in the first place that there was some resistance, and then come into an acceptance, let go, and accept who I am, regardless of who I'm talking to, where I'm going, and let go of the need to prove this new version of myself, and just be. Even when I was speaking, because I have one friend in particular where me and him would occasionally, like, I would say, debate. It wasn't really it was a debate in the sense that there was two opposing sides, two different opinions, but it was more of a discussion, like an intellectual collation or something like that. I don't know, man. But at the end of it, no one would leave with any animosity towards the other. No one would leave thinking, oh, they're wrong or I'm right. We're just brainstorming ideas, and it's interesting to both of us to hear actual perspectives of two different sides. However, you can get so emotionally involved that, you start to become hateful. You start to you start to now dedicate yourself to the argument and not to your original ideal. You start to focus on, how can I argue this? How can I argue that? And your ideal, you've lost sight of your ideal, you've lost sight of your path. But don't worry, that's not anything to be ashamed of. There's always a rise and a fall. For things to get better, they have to first get worse, in some cases. You have to allow yourself to kind of make the mistake to realize that that's a detour you can take if you're not careful. And then recenter yourself back onto your path. It's all about awareness, realization, and acceptance. If you watched this far, like and subscribe. Stay blessed.